Hello everyone. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Anubha Maneshwar, and Anubha is the founder of GirlsScript Technologies and Foundation. She aims to make education and opportunities accessible to everyone, and her initiatives have impacted more than 1 lakh learners. She's been featured in Forbes Asia 30 under 30 list for social entrepreneurs in 2020, and her list of accolades are long. So let's jump to speaking with her. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Khyati, for inviting me over, and I'm really excited for this thing. And I hope that all the listeners, get to learn a lot from this conversation, and maybe we can inspire like few people out of this.
Yeah, I've personally been very inspired by your journey. I've been following you on social media for a long time about how you've done so much to train girls with a focus on tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and it's amazing. So Anubha, could you tell us a bit about your early experiences and how you got started with the whole social entrepreneurship space?
Yeah, so I think every journey begins with a failure. So I started my journey when I was writing my engineering entrance exam, and I appeared for the exam twice. Like earlier, it was IIT and AIEEE separate exams, and then when I took an eardrop, it was JEE main and advanced. So the pattern changed, a lot of things changed, and also like I was not able to like get a very good rank into the Indian like India level exam, but I was good at state level. Like I got into like top 200 for MP and everything. But the thing is that my parents had attachment and they wanted me to live near them. So I took admission first of all according to my rank, and but later on I got shifted to another college according to like when the admissions were over. So according to like just my relative was studying there, so I got also admission there, something like that. So it was not based on rank. So I landed in a college which nobody knew, even in a city like Nagpur, and yeah, so it was a bit difficult to match the frequency because you coming from a very competitive background, like coming from Chindwada, a tier 3 city in MP, and then moving to Nagpur, a tier 2 city. So you have a lot of expectations when you move out that this is going to be really interesting and you would meet a lot of people, but then the expectations were not met, and I just felt kind of frustrated that, oh my god, where I have landed, like people have no clue what they are doing with themselves, and what would I do. First year it was kind of frustrating. I did not make more friends or anything, but like as I said, that there were problems in my personal life as well. Like my father passed away, so I had a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders, and therefore from second year onwards I became more empathetic towards people. So the main thing I learned from that incident was empathy, and I kind of started helping people. It started healing me as well, and then I started knowing that why this is happening to them, or why did they take up engineering, what was the motive, or what other talents they have which they can embrace, or work upon, or what is the problem with them. So I started looking at it not from a frustrating perspective, but from a point of view where I could help them to grow or something. So that was, I think, the beginning of my journey, or I decided to help people, like not take up social entrepreneurship, but just to help people. So I joined different communities, like Mozilla was there, Lean in India Foundation was there, Upay Foundation was working locally. So there were many foundations and initiatives that I became a part of, and I thought of bringing that like facilities or that communities to tier 2 cities as well. So that was, I think, the beginning point of everything.
That's amazing. Using failures as stepping stones to build success. You started with helping people. What led you to
Right.
start GirlScript?
So I started my journey like of helping people around 2014. So in India, internships, platforms like Internshala, a lot of things were changing, startups. So that was a transition phase. Like right now, what you see at that time, the phase of transition was going on. So till 2017, I worked with a lot of communities, companies, and organizations. So my first job was to write a blog for a company for 50 rupees. So that is how I started, and then I ended up working with some bigger companies as well, like Procter and Gamble, and a lot of other companies in India and outside India. So the main thing was in 2017, I realized, like in my final semester of college, I realized that there are few things which are not yet on the ecosystem. Like there are few things which are needed to be done. For example, like the communities, a lot of people complain that because that is from outside India, all the technical communities mainly. So maybe like from Indian students, they are writing forms or doing something, but they are not getting appropriate response, or or they are not able to be in touch with them because their founder is in US, or they are from UK or some
Mhm.
other country, so they don't know about Indian education, they don't know about Indian parents, their mindset and everything. So it was kind of a bridge that was required. The second thing was nobody was focusing on primary education. Like people were focusing on higher things, like for example blockchain, data science, AI. People were talking about really fancy terms, but nobody was talking about how to write an email, how to do very basic things, or maybe help beginners into getting into programming, or like telling people what open source is, what GitHub is. So a lot of people are right now there as well who can't even draft a proper email till today, even if they are a CS student. So there were many basic education or basic points that were missing, and I thought that still a lot of work needs to be done and I should get involved. So initially I started it, GirlScript, as just a community, and I started like with teaching few students like in a WordPress development workshop, and then later on like I registered it as a non-profit. So I initially thought that I would just teach girls, but then I realized that in tier 2 cities boys also need like equal help. So then we decided to reserve 50% of the seats for women, and then we would take boys as well, or anybody from so the name is GirlScript, and kind of breaks the stereotype that if it is a female name, like it is not a female only organization but open for all, which helps everyone.
That's wonderful. So, were you ever doubtful about, pursuing this full time? Because, I mean, running a non-profit, and as you mentioned, you had all of these family responsibilities. So that adds to a lot of financial expectations. Yet you decided to run a
Right.
non-profit full time. So how does that work out?
Yeah, so instead of getting placement and even submitting the document, signing the bond, like it was a 2 years bond, I guess. So doing all of that, I thought of just pulling myself out of it, because I realized that a lot of people are responding to it like whatever we were doing. So we were not sure whether we would register it as a non-profit or something would happen. We were just like, "Ki, we will do job and then we would also do this maybe part-time on
Okay.
weekends just to teach people, create awareness or something." But then when people started responding, we understood that so many people need, and every student has their own story, like whether it will be a family problem or any kind of problem. Like some people have all the resources in life, but they don't have any mentor or mental support, like which is required to move forward. So different people had different stories, and I think the stories intrigued me so much that I decided that I would take my documents back and maybe I would do a non-profit. Regarding finances, I think what I did is, the first workshop I did under GirlScript during my 8th semester was a WordPress development workshop. And because I had a lot of experiences beforehand, that I did Django Girls workshop, I did Mozilla events, a lot of other events. So I knew like how to contact sponsors, how to raise money for an event and everything. So when I launched GirlScript, I sort of wrote emails to some European companies and companies in US to fund my project, or maybe I am starting GirlScript, a new initiative in India, and if they would like to sponsor. So fortunately, I was fortunate enough to manage like a sponsorship of around 2-3 lakhs, like initially, which was enough to register my company, or maybe work for like 5-6 months more. Like I didn't, for a non-profit, the best thing is that you don't need a lot of money. Like everybody is a volunteer, and you can get a place, you can teach people. So I didn't need a lot of capital at that time, and yeah, it was fine. And fortunately, my mom also supported me in whatever I was doing. Although like everybody thought I have gone crazy or something, but then yeah, I think now it's much better.
You took back your documents, you rejected the full-time job offer that you had, and you decided to commit your entire time in a non-profit organization. One common question that a lot of people generally tend to have is, if they're working for a non-profit, they're going to be volunteers. So how are they going to support themselves financially or their family?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the basic thing we need to understand here is like a lot of companies are non-profits, a lot of biggest companies that we have heard of, whether it is Mascom, whether it is Mozilla Foundation, whether it is a lot of companies, and all of them have salaries, all of their employees, everything is exactly like how a profit company works. The only difference is that here you cannot have investors, your company valuation cannot grow, like nobody can buy your shares or invest in you, you cannot have profits. That's the only difference. Otherwise like once you start, your non-profit, you make a business model, and then you start getting money from a lot of resources. You have salaries, you can have employees, you can have an office. The structure is exactly like, for example, if we talk about Mozilla Foundation, so an employee which someone working at Google earns, like they earn exactly same kind of salary, so there is no foundation on the salaries as well, like what you can pay or something. But then like you cannot draw profits out of it. Like even if some money is saved from one financial year, you need to put that money back into your non-profit and help more people or scale the company. So that is the only difference.
Right. Thanks for clarifying that. Over the years, what have you sort of
Right.
gathered with all of the groundwork that you've been doing, and what are your focus skills at the moment?
As we started with basic skills, later we realized that, for example, there is a program by Google called Google Summer of Code. But the
Mhm.
problem is that a lot of students who don't know what open source is, who don't know what that program is or how it works, who don't know IRL or any kind of communication channel, mailing list, a lot of things. So what about them? And they are the people who are maybe comprised of around 95% of the audience. Only 5%, I think 5% is also a very big number that I'm saying. I think only 2 to 3% people know exactly how to work on GitHub, how to make a profile and everything. It is becoming easier, but then yeah, but there is a huge audience which is still unaware. So then we thought that, why not solve this problem, and why not develop a similar kind of program, but where students can participate, and from one week, like week one, they can learn what GitHub is, what open source is, how to contribute, and then they can proceed further. So we launched a program called GirlScript Summer of Code in 2018. Then similarly we launched like different kind of programs according to the pain points that we saw. We launched a uplift program where, if I want to talk in English and I don't have anybody in my surroundings who can speak with me, not even my parents or anyone. So maybe why not match them with a mentor and a peer group where they can speak with each other? Or maybe if I want to do machine learning but nobody is doing it, so why not uplift them and uplift each other? So we launched Uplift project. Similarly, there were different programs that we launched. GirlScript Cup, which we launched to promote the contribution that students should be students should be given some awards to contribute to the community, and just give them courage. So there were different programs like that, GirlScript India Summit, contributors meet. Right now we are running a program in Delhi called Tech in Slums, where we are teaching slum children and providing them with laptops and internet connection, and teaching them front end back end. So when you see a person of 13-14 years of age living in slums, never dreamt that they could have a laptop and they can talk about front end or back end or some technologies like that, you feel so satisfied. So there were different type of target audiences, like right from slum children to working professionals, and we thought of helping everyone through different programs. And that was what we have been doing from last 4 years, like developing the programs. And a lot of people also told us that it is too confusing, why are you launching so many programs? But then it was impacting the audience, and the audience was responding to it. Like for example, Summer of Code program, we just started with few students, like I think 500 to 1000 students in first edition. This year we had 8000 participants from 14 countries. So the growth have been massive, and we started the community from just Nagpur, like one city, and right now we are in 75 plus cities of India as a community, and outside India as well. So yeah, so all of these things we were doing, and in future also our aim is to reach more and more remote areas. Like we were the first community to be established in Kashmir and Jammu, because the internet, everything is so difficult there. And we were also interviewed by a radio station there for the work that we have been doing in Jammu and Kashmir. We were the first to reach Bihar, and cities like Hajipur, which nobody have heard of, even Siliguri, and a lot of remote places. And I think that is our main motivation to go again and again and reach so many people in remote areas. I think that is what we are focusing on in future as well.
This is so inspiring. I mean, I have to ask you this. How do you think someone like me can get involved with your work? Somebody who's a young professional, they probably have their full-time job and are not prepared yet to, make the commitment to leave their jobs and work full-time at an NGO, but still want to be involved and, do a little
Right.
bit.
Definitely. So there are a lot of people. So it feels really good, when somebody who is working in like full time, and they observe our work or what we have been doing, and they come and message us and tell us that they want to contribute or do something for us. So it feels really proud and happy that somebody wants to do something for the community, and there are more like-minded people who want to get involved. So what we do basically is that we give them a bunch of students. For example, if they are a data scientist, or they are an Android developer, or a security researcher, so we find a bunch of people who might be interested in that kind of profession. We give them those mentees, and we plan a schedule. Or for example, we also do a program called education outreach, which is just a 1 week program where you can teach how to get started with certain career. So we have done a lot of like more than 30 students from 30 countries have participated in that program, and a lot of people got started in their journey as a programmer and a lot of other professions. So maybe we really, like, if anybody is a professional, we start with that program. If they can contribute for a week, or maybe just on weekends, if they can take 1 hour class with the students, tell them like what they have been working on or what are the basics which they can get started from. So just a 7 week class where they can interact with them. So that is the starting point. So there are different things, like people can help us in outreach. They can help us in reaching more companies who do CSR kind of activities, who can be our potential collaborations, or they would like to partner with us. They can help as a mentor. They can also help in management, or maybe as an advisory board, where they can suggest us like what more needs to be done, because we believe in building an open, like whatever we do, like we post about it, we try to interact more and more. So like from day one, like we have never invested a single rupee in any kind of marketing. So we just believe that we should take feedback from the people only, or whoever would like to get involved, and just build with them. So that kind of also helps in building programs which are actually required by the people, and to get good response. Yeah. What happens is, like, for example, if I tell you education outreach last year, so we did a fundraiser for our NGO as well, where we told that you just need to pay like 20 rupees as a donation, like not more. So there were also people, like, somehow, like, if one recording was not sent on time or something happened, that person took 20 rupees back from us. So and maybe like right now also, like I am doing some classes where I am doing mentoring session in July. So I'm giving half an hour session to all the students, like 2 slots per day. So a lot of people are there who book the slots and did not show up. So it happens, and I'm doing it free of cost. Like, I'm not charging anything to mentor them. And there have been students earlier who got mentored, and now at very bigger like level in their lives. But yeah, it happens. So be running a non-profit is not very difficult, I would say. Like, you would get people support, but then people like who might be supporting you financially or something, but then the audience which you are doing for, they are not very responsive. Like, you have to push them again and again, be so creative that one day you are doing something, other day they need something else. Like, they get bored so easily. And like, today's generation, or people like who are in college right now, like, they need things faster, because social media, stories, reels, all of that. So everything has become so short and fast that they need changes. Like, a trend also lasts for 10 days on reels, and then again something else comes. So it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, getting people to actually seek help is
Right.
a bigger
Yeah.
challenge. How do you reach out to your
Yeah.
students? How do you get them to, trust and just open up, or, spend their time and believe in this upskilling thing?
So if I start from the beginning, like I think if you take up any project or entrepreneurship in general, there are two, three prerequisites like which are really important, which we usually ignore. So the first thing is that work experience. So if you have worked with similar kind of organization, you gain a lot of knowledge from them. Key how they do it. Like for example, non-profit in India and non-profit in US. Because I worked with Mozilla and other similar kind of companies outside India, I got to know, what how to earn money, what can be different channels through we can attract people and all of that. So I think, and I was getting mentored by Christy, who was a scientist in Alan Turing Institute. So my project GirlScript was a part of Mozilla Open Leaders program, and I got mentored by her. So initially I got a lot of help from them. And then I also built a network. So we underestimate the networking, like because before starting GirlScript, already I had network in almost every city in India and outside India as well, maybe through my internships, through my any kind of roles. So it became like really easy if I put up a post on Facebook, like they used to see like what is this, like what is GirlScript, we also want to get involved or start something in our city. So that kind of helped me. Right now how I target the students is, so I don't behave like a founder or something with them. I am their friend, and I try to interact with them as much as possible through my social media platforms. I try to get on mentorship calls with them. I try to understand. So there are people who even share their breakup stories with them on the very first call, who have just recently gone through a heartbreak. There are people who have lost maybe their parents in COVID, so they are going through that. So a lot of stories come to me, and then I try to also highlight those stories to other people so that more people can get involved. So I think storytelling is one of the very powerful thing. Like if you tell one story ki some person came to my mentoring session and this is the change that they have created, so out of that like 50 people would respond that how did it happen, and can I also enroll, when are the next sessions happening. So this is how you create the initial engagement and then holding on to it and being in touch. So I don't hesitate giving my WhatsApp number to these people, or even if they I tell them like beforehand that I might not respond like very quickly because like there are so many messages, but still I would try to support them in any way possible. Or if they are not feeling mentally well, they need somebody to talk to, definitely schedule a call with me or do something. Just write me an email, just one liner that I need to talk or something. So I tell this to everybody. And yeah, I think that building a personal connection with everyone and telling stories, these are like two really powerful things which help me um, reach more people.
That's a great insight to take away, the power of stories. So you mentioned engagement through social media. The first thing that comes to my
Right.
mind after that is the whole flip side of engagement through social media, the online hatred. And like the first is your hesitation of, being judged, but otherwise also people are so quickly to put out negative comments. How do you just
Yeah.
deal with all of that comes with it?
So, to be honest, like I'm still learning. Initially, I did not learn that there is feedback and there is mocking. So some people, whatever good or bad you do, they would definitely mock you or try to just pull you down. Some people would be there who would give you negative feedback or positive feedback. Like it's a feedback, it's not mocking, or they are not trying to just pull you down. So this, to figure out this difference, I think took around 2 to 3 years just to figure out the difference, what to take on my. So I used to be a very emotional person, like everything I need to be perfect, and if something bad happens or somebody says something, it used to affect me so much. So I thought of learn to not getting affected personally by it, taking it very professionally and understanding whether the person is just trying to mock me or giving a feedback. That was first learning. The second was that, like, when I got into Forbes like last year, around April first week. After that, there were several blogs written for me. There were YouTube videos created. So a lot of things happened. Like people just combined. Or maybe like when I take a professional decision, or maybe there are men who don't like me going forward, or oh, ye kaun hai, like she come from an unknown city and she doesn't have any background, and she is not from Delhi or Bombay or something, and like so they just try to tell others or portray my image as if I don't know anything. Even like recently with GirlScript Summer of Code, that was my fifth edition of the program, and already for Mozilla I worked with the OG organization, like which termed or phrased like open source. And hatred was so much that around November, December to like right now till February, March, I just stopped working, and my entire team was handling most of the work. And I just took a long break of like few 4 5 months, and I just cried for days. I even thought of stopping doing all of this. I looked for jobs maybe, or maybe I would do something, which is, or maybe just going out of India and starting my life all over again, maybe studying something. So there have been extreme thoughts that I have got, because people even, so for example, there was a volunteer, and he like violated the code of conduct of the community, so we had to remove him. And later on then asked for swags or certification or something. So why should we give a certificate to someone who violated our policy? So he wrote a blog against me, and he disturbed me so much that I talked in a conversation like, I would commit suicide, the pressure you are putting on me, and the defamation that you are doing. So he did not put anything on his blog, but he took the screenshot of the part where I said I will commit suicide, and he portrayed it as if I am, blackmailing him. So it was so funny, and so so I right now have become so much reserved of how I talk to people, what I talk, because people won't mind to take a screenshot and just highlight that point out of the entire conversation. So then I gave explanations to so many people when the blogs were being written and everything, and people were actually sharing it. Like even in my contacts, I like saw few people, sharing it. So I did not understand like why people are hating on me so much. But then right now I have turned like totally upside down. Like right now, I do whatever I want to do, even on Instagram Reels or anywhere. Like I open up with people, I talk freely, and I decided that I won't be scared anymore. Like I also filed a cyber complaint. Like it was up at that level, the torture and the planning and plotting, the strategizing. It was at that level that I had to, complain to several companies that they were associated with, and biggest companies like took a decision to throw them out from their community and do something. So there were different things that I took, and to speak against it. But then yeah, the mental health was completely shook, and I was shook as a human being. And that was also one of the reasons I was very hesitant to do any interviews or to get on a call with someone. So then in July right now I decided, now it's enough is enough. Like 6 months have already passed of this year, and you can't be like this. You need to get out, you need to write content, you need to connect with people. So this is what, because they wanted to pull me back somehow, and you need to fight back, and just be closer to someone who you feel positive with, even your mother or your siblings or your friends, anyone.
Thank you so much for being so honest
Yeah,
about this.
it's not
I hope
even
it tames
happening.
down.
Yeah, it is not even happening with me. Like there was also one of the mentees that came on the call, and she had like all the resources. Like she came from a very wealthy family, but then she cried so much on the call. Like for half an hour mentoring call, she was crying entirely, just because she got bullied so badly in her classroom कि तुझे तो data structure नहीं आता है, and you don't know programming, you can't do it, girls can't do anything. And so I told her that data structures, competitive programming is not the only thing. Like you can become a tester, you can do documentation, you can do community evangelism. After that, like you can be a developer or develop some applications which might require the thorough knowledge later on, but at least you can get started. Like it's not the end. So yeah, it's really sad, but we need to speak against it. I tried my part to do whatever I could to stop these kind of people, so that they don't do it with others as well. So yeah.
I mean, this is something that I think is across communities. Even in bits, I have personally seen, whether I've been on the
Yeah.
receiving end or my female friends, how, you know, girls don't deserve the opportunities they're getting,
Yeah,
and they're stealing
diversity
away.
hiring.
Yes, and
Yeah,
they're stealing away opportunities, and they're getting whatever they're getting only because they're girls, and
yeah,
they're just taking
yeah.
away from the deserving, intelligent men of the batch.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. And that is also what happened with me. Those 6, 7 months, जो मैंने बताया, like I took the gap, I started feeling that I am worthy of nothing. Like, matlab, the Forbes or the TEDx or any title that people see from outside, I was like, I don't know anything.
I mean, it's just sad. Like people have hatred for everything, but your achievements are your own, and you have to own it up, I guess.
Definitely, definitely. So people who don't achieve things, like they just have this just one thing to do is to talk behind your back. So if you even do good, like really good, then also people would talk. If you do really something bad, then also people would talk. So people won't stop talking.
Yeah. EdTech is a very fast growing sector. There's so many startups coming up claiming to get you the next big MNC job. What has been your
Yeah.
observation about the impact of EdTech sector in the ground level? And what do you think are like the biggest blind spots at the moment?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people now are doing edtech just because they want to earn money or something, or they are seeing the opportunity that things have gone virtual, and then so every second person I meet is doing a edtech, or even in my mentoring calls, I meet so many student entrepreneurs who want to do edtech. But the thing is that before starting any kind of startup, you need to think about why you are doing this, and is it really necessary, or there are other companies who might be doing similar kind of things, and what is my USP? So I think a lot of people don't ask these questions to themselves, that if I be the customer, would I buy this, or I would find other alternatives that are already there. The second thing is that what are the blind spots right now is one-on-one mentoring or personalization is still not there. Still people feel that they don't have a friend, or they don't have a teacher or somebody to talk about. More with social media, the feeling of loneliness is increasing. So now I think the education needs to be shifted towards personalization and customizing in such a way that people should understand what this student needs, and what how it is different from that student, whether they might be on same class or same level, but how this person is different from him, and what they can be helped more with. So customization, personalization is very much required. Third thing is innovation is required in education right now, because every company is doing something similar, or others are like doing something somewhat similar. So some kind of innovation is required. And then fourth thing is to reach in more people, because more or less I think whoever is doing edtech, their target audience is same. Who has mobile phones, who has internet, who has laptops? What about other people? How they are going to get involved? That is a big question that still persists in the like in the edtech environment, and we need to focus on that.
A
Yeah.
common concern that I see from my friends who are in tier 2 or tier 3 universities, they don't have access to job opportunities, is what they feel. Like my friend, he wants to change a job and he's been trying since a long time applying, but it's just getting ignored. He's not even able to, reach the interview stage. For these
Yeah.
people, what would your advice be? How do they stand out to an employer?
So there are 4 or 5 things that any tier 2, tier 3 city student or non-premier college student should look at. First of all, understand where you stand and what is the difference between somebody who is studying at a premier institute. I think everything starts with a realization. Every journey starts with a realization. So first have that realization that you would need to work harder, and you would need to put on some time and energy into doing this. Like, this cannot be done very easily. So that realization is really important. The second thing, once you realize it, if you are not sure what you need to do, just explore for 1 or 2 years. Don't hesitate like doing any kind of volunteering work, even unpaid internships, because you don't have a upper hand right now. Like, once you grow your skills and you become so confident that people would pay you any amount, then you have upper hand on other people. But right now you don't have that kind of access. So don't be stubborn or show attitude towards such things that I don't want to do this, I just need a particular. So don't be rigid. like after realization, just don't be rigid about it. Just understand where do you stand and where do you need to go. Once you reach there, then everything you can negotiate with the HR, you can do whatever you want to do, and you would have ample opportunities. So that is the second thing, is to be flexible as much as possible. The third thing is, initially don't see in your career what kind of internships or what kind of jobs you are doing. Just take up anything, because every experience is important. And later on, once you improve your skills, I think you can take up something which you want to do. The fourth thing is that follow good role models which are doing similar things. For example, if you want to become an Android developer, so look for other people who are doing something similar, or who are mobile developers going to different events talking about different things. So observe them, that how they started, what they do, what they talk about. So constant observation is required to grow. The fifth point would be to align the profile. So a lot of candidates get rejected is because in their profile they have written that I did marketing for this company, I want to become a machine learning engineer, I did a certification in web development. So everything is so much scattered in their LinkedIn profile and as well as on their resume. So I think that alignment is the biggest mistake by which the resume gets rejected. So the first thing is to align your profile. And then if you want more followers or more people, or you want to stand out, I think constant supply of content is required. If I want to become an Android developer and I take a challenge like 100 days of like Android or something, so every day if I take out 5 minutes and post about Android development, in within 100 days, like some HR would notice me for sure on LinkedIn, would talk to me that would they like to get a job or something in their company. There might be a lot of my juniors or people on LinkedIn who are just getting started with that subject. So they would definitely follow you, share your content and everything. And then you would be taken seriously by people who are even hiring candidates, and people who are even learning or just being part of the community. So I think that is really required. First is the profile alignment, and second is to supply or help others as much as possible, so that you can build more testimonials for yourself. So helping others is always not, from one perspective we just see that we are giving all of it to others. No, it's very opposite of that. Like once you start giving back to people, you receive so much in the end. Like if I mentor 5 people, out of those 2 people would write post about me that she's a great mentor, I would get 20. Like each of that person would have at least 100 connections, so I would get 100 more people into my connects, or like they would be interested in getting on a call with me. So this is how it works. So maybe it might not be direct from the person, but then it would come somehow to you. So I think profile building overall, maybe on GitHub, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, such kind of platforms, networking is really important. And we shouldn't underestimate all of these points. Coming from a smaller city, we should network also with a lot of people who are studying in different, and then getting involved with a community or any kind of programs where they can develop themselves, meet other people who are from premier colleges. So it gives a equal platform to everyone, and I think that is also really important.
I think those are great insights. What have been your personal learning experience in your journey of the past 5, 6 years? What have been your biggest takeaways?
The biggest takeaway is, first of all, believe in everything, whatever you want to do. Because I don't have any favorite actor, actress, like sportsman or anybody. Like I get inspired by people and their stories. If that person can do this in one lifetime, all of that, like being an actress, producer, director, entrepreneur, investor, everything at once, and so why can't you do it? So don't let people set your boundaries. Anybody, like even if those people are your parents or somebody very close to you, don't let them set your boundaries or tell you that what you can and cannot do. If you can see on my backside, like I have a vision board which I have drawn with my hands, like what I want to do in next 1 or 2 years. So when I was 20, I created a vision board in one of the classes, which was called Future CEO Program or something. So I just took it up like that. Like I was not doing any startup at that time. So on the very first class, we were given a bunch of newspapers, like old newspaper. We had to like cut some things out, and then create a vision board out of it. So for one instance, I felt that was really stupid. But to be like, I was thrilled when after 5 years, I saw that whatever I wrote that day on the vision board, everything came true. I wrote that I maybe in my life, maybe I want to become like a TEDx speaker, or I want to go in the Forbes list, or I want to help many women, or women empowerment was one of the coin terms that I wrote. I wrote about open source. I wrote that I want to travel a lot. And like till that point, I had never even gone out of India, or something. So I got so many opportunities to travel. I wrote that I want to get my car, like very small things as well. I want to get a car, or I want to do something. So nothing was written very specific that I will build a organization called GirlScript, or I would become an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship was not written, but all of these points were written, and it really came true. So I think the biggest takeaway is to believe, no matter how or what people tell you, or people laugh at you, ki, how would you do it? Just believe and visualize it every day. Like keep looking at it every day. That these are the things I want to do, and it would definitely come true. Be stubborn at your heart, and just fight for it till the end. Do not give up. If people, the main takeaway would also be to understand feedback and like constructive criticism, and also the difference of mocking, and also to have a small circle, but that type of circle who always motivate you or talks positively with you. Like in my journey, I also lost so many best friends, or people who were really close to me back then, but right now they are not like very in touch with me, because those were the people who were telling me why you are doing this non-profit, why you are, and they were laughing at me literally, even as a best friend or something. Making fun of it was not funny at one point, because I was really serious about it. So I thought of making distance, and being with someone rather who would understand my perspective from away. So sometimes it also affects us indirectly, even our closest people, and we don't realize it, or we just ignore it. But then we need to understand what we feel from inside. Yeah. The third thing, traveling is really important, because you meet new people, you listen to different stories, and yeah, it changes your perspective so much. You learn so much from it. Fourth thing is, never stop learning, even if you get a job in your dream company, or even if you become an entrepreneur, like you feel that your life is good. But then also, being stuck, like being on the ground, is really important, so that you don't just become so overconfident that you lose all the knowledge which you had previously. So I think learning every day, just spending 15 minutes or so. So even if you scroll social media, why don't you like companies like Google and other pages also, even on Facebook and other social media platforms? So when you are scrolling, you are having the entertainment, but you would also see something which is of importance. Or maybe you just subscribe to like 2 3 news platforms as well, so you would also see some of the news which are like important. Or maybe some startup pages where you would see like which company is building what, and who got acquired by who. So this is how I do, and this is how I be aware. So I'm not somebody who is like 1 or 2 hours I'm doing a research, but every day I know about what is happening outside, and being aware about the things. So these are very teeny tiny steps which you can follow. And I think that would be really good, like improving your social media, getting a mentor, traveling a lot, learning, and yeah, visualizing it, I think, and talking to people. I think first of all, looking at yourself and your mental health, talking about it, because till now, like now is the time. Whatever we are going through, I think our mental health is the most priority, and we survived the pandemic. I think that is the biggest thing. So just be proud of that, and even if you are going slower than others, just don't compare, and take enough breaks from social media. Or if you feel frustrated that this he is achieving and I'm not, just try to analyze like what is going wrong with you, and don't blame it on others. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I mean, we've spoken about a lot of things. I loved your insights on everything from online hatred to empowering women to education, and congratulations on everything you've been doing with GirlScript. I'm sure next 10 years it's gonna be the next thing, and it's gonna scale new heights. And all the best, and keep inspiring us. And I hope more and more
yeah.
people join you with your ambition. If there's anything else you'd
No,
like to say that I haven't asked you about, please feel free to.
I just end my all of my talks or my interviews with just one quote that my father told me, is that if you are a good performer, you don't need a stage. Wherever you perform, like people will see you see you, and crowd would be there to hear you out. So even if you come from a smaller city, a background which is not very wealthy, or you just feel that you are somehow you have some kind of low self esteem, just don't feel like that, because if you have that skills, or you have that factor in yourself, I think you can build a stage anywhere, and nothing is impossible. So that's all. Yeah.
I think there's no better end to this call. I mean, it's perfectly summarizing everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me over, and it was really great.